I was just about to start my video blog and look what rattled off. Only a little pup. It's a bit lively. Well, I thought I'll show you. There you go. Just over 19 she went. It's very welcome. Quick nighter down the swamp. And rods have been in about 3 hours. And this is rattled off. This was on a single out towards the middle. I've got a bit of bait on my baited patches, and most of the fish have been coming off bait, to be honest. But always blast the single out towards the middle and see what happens. And she couldn't resist it. Right, let's nip her back and we'll get on with telling you how the last month's gone. Right then. Fish back. I'm happy. I ain't blanked. Right, what have I been up to the last month? Been doing a few sessions down the swamp here. To be honest, it's probably been a good month since my last vlog, to be honest, and the weather's changed dramatically. It has been warm, sunny, but a month ago it was nothing but rain. Everywhere was flooded. The swamp, I think we had a week without any rain, and it basically went back down a bit. I think quite a few of the pegs were fishable again. I still stayed in the same sort of area where I've been catching from, where I've been baiting up all winter. It's been pretty good to me, to be fair. From my last video, where I had a couple of 30s, 29 and another 3 fish on the next session, I think it was. Next session down after that, I came down, had a couple of lovely mid-20s. The one was, quite a standard sort of shape carp, and the other one was a great big long thing with a big floppy tail. Right then, here's a nice mid-20 for you. Back down the swamp, the water's gone down. Absolutely fantastic. What a way to start back. Beautiful fish down here in Shropshire. So I can get another one. Come on, just about packing up. Hello, sweetie. Right then, nearly ready for the off, and this has just screamed off. 24 pounder. You want to see the tail on this? Oh, look at that. Absolutely stunning. Fought like a demon. Right torpedo this one is. I can't get over its tail, look at that. Absolutely stunning. All shapes and sizes. Beautiful. As you know, I like to have some sort of theme to my videos, same with my articles. I'm not really one for just writing it for the sake of it, or doing a video for the sake of it. I'll try and pass things on. This one is balancing out your gear, I suppose. Balancing out your end tackle, your line, your size of your lead to your rods. Over the last month or so, that's come into me fishing ever such a lot, to be fair. It's like fishing on this water, the swamp, on the mangrove. You don't need really heavy rods on here, to be fair. Having a good castable line helps, because you got probably casts up to 100 yards or so, that type of thing. So you want something what's half decent line. You don't want to come on here with like a 20 odd pound fluorocarbon, because you're going to be struggling to, if you see a fish show out towards the middle, you want to get a rod on it and that type of thing. But talking about lines and rods and test curves and that type of thing, it's all well and good, I think, to be able to cast, 170 yards, 180, 200 yards, with shop leaders and all the rest of it. But a lot of waters don't allow shop leaders, and personally I don't really like to use shop leaders, because if you do get a crack off, I think that's probably that's worse than lead core in a way, because if you've got like a braided shock leader, for instance, and a fish swims into a snag and it's cracked off, you know, he's probably towing around about 6-7 yards of braid, and it ain't going to take him long to get tangled up and you know, stuck, and he's, you know, it turns like a safe clip or something like that rig into pretty much a death rig, I suppose. You know, it's on clear waters, you know, I can see why people want to use them and that type of thing, but you know, you balance your gear out right, there's probably no need for shock leaders and that type of thing. And you know, if this water was loads of weed and there was fish showing off the back of the weed, and I was on say £10 line with a shock leader, you know, I'd think, well, what's the chances of me getting the fish through the weed? You know, it's all well and good saying I'll drop my lead and the fish will come on the top, but if he doesn't and he piles into the weed, you know, and there's not a boat on the lake to be able to go out, you know, a lot of people would more or less try and pull its head off, and it's a bit like, oh, line's broke, I got cut off, and you know, you've left a fish out there with a great load of line, and strong line at that, if you're using a shock leader. So personally, balancing your gear out right, you know, if you're going to use a light line to cast, use quite a softer rod, and you get away with a lighter lead as well generally, and you'll cast probably as far as somebody with a 3.5 pound test curve rod, you know, and quite a, you know, a heavy line. You know, a lot of the things, you know, balancing up the lead weight to the rod makes a massive difference, because if you've got a powerful rod, a light lead, you're not going to compress the blank enough to be able to cast, where say a 2 ounce lead and a 3 pound or 2.75 test rod, it compress the blank, and you'll probably cast further with that size lead on than you will with a powerful rod, because if you don't compress the blank, it's not working for you, it's working against you really. But I've been doing quite a bit of time over the last month on is it the GT HD? I think that's what it's called. Lewis will tell me off for not knowing exactly what the name is, but I'm sure that's what it's called. I've been using that in £15 line. Absolutely brilliant. Very little stretch to it. You know, it's for casting, it's, you know, it's very precise. When you drop it on a tight line, you don't get any spring back or anything like that. Bite indication's brilliant on it. Sinks really nice, sinks quickly. You know, I haven't had any problems. It's probably a bit more abrasion resistant than a lot of lines out there. It feels a tough line, you know, where some of them feel quite soft, and you need them slightly in thicker diameters to get away with what you're fishing if you're stalking and that type of thing around bushes and that. You want something that's quite robust, but obviously you don't need the casting then. But that's HD for casting wise. You know, I've been doing casts about 180 up to 180 yards, which is pretty good for me. Seems like a bit of a margin monster, to be fair. And you know, like the gear I've been using for that, my casting, I've been on the Gravity X's, 13 foot. They've only just come out, 10,000 Tornos reels. Couple that up with the HD and 15, and that sort of setup, because you've got a strong line, and then go to about a 3.5 ounce lead, and there's enough lead there to compress the rod. You're not going to crack off with that size lead with £15 line, and the line really suits it, and it's, you know, it just absolutely flies. But you know, you have little tips what you do. You wet the blank before you cast. It helps with the friction on the blank. It makes it almost lubricates the eyes of the blank for you, so you'll get a few more yards doing that as well. Last week, I literally just got back from Jontry in France. Did my normal winter session over there. Lovely place, absolutely fantastic. You know, you can see my old mate Mark over there. Me and Nick went, and last year we absolutely filled our boots for fish. This year the weather was absolutely totally against us all the way. Got there, it was basically the start of 4 nights of serious frost down to like -4, where it had been mildish up to that time and the fish had been showing. And I got there, the rods had been out what, 3 hours, something like that. First rods rattled off. Right then, we just got to John Tree. Rods have been out 2 hours. First bite of the session, just under 50. I've got to take the weight of the mat off. It was 52.4. I've got to take the mat off, so or the sling. So it's going to be like 49. Absolutely beautiful fish. I'll put oyster up to show you. That's it. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Absolute plodder it was. No hard runs or anything like that. Just plodding all the way in. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to get her back because it's getting frosty now. All different shapes and sizes, lovely. But little did we know that was going to be the only bite for the next 4 days, and the weather really closed in on us. It was gale force winds, temperatures like frosty out of the wind, it was like frosty. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. It was freezing, like you'd go out and just check your bobbins and that, and you couldn't feel your hands by the time you come back in, and it was freezing cold in the wind, and the lake just shut up shop. There was no fish showing, very little in the way of bleeps, any liners or anything like that. There was nothing to read. I spent quite a bit of time frogging a couple of pegs, just seeing if I could get some liners and start putting something together, but no, nothing. It was absolutely dreadful, it was. And then I think it was the Wednesday night. It went mild. A couple of fish started showing. Obviously, it went mild, and the rain started, and the rain never stopped. And what did I have? I had a lovely scaly 30-pounder. Basically, I moved swims onto some showing fish. Me and Nick moved down the lake onto some showing fish, and I had a really lovely scaly mirror. Right then, battling through all the different types of weather we've had. We've had storms this morning, absolutely freezing cold weather, icy winds. I managed to get another bite. Absolutely fantastic. Going for a pretty fish. Right, I'll get her back because my hands are killing. This week I think we've had every weather situation you could possibly have. Bit of snow, blizzard winds, freezing temperatures, and now we're just having proper storms. We had a bit of lightning last night. It's not the best carping conditions I've ever seen, but we'll keep battling on. The next morning, the day before we were coming home, it really kicked off for me. From watching a couple of shows and watching where I was getting bites on my one spot, I managed to bounce the fish pretty much from one rod to the other, and every time I had a bite on one rod, within 10 minutes the other rod would go. So I was pretty much, like I was saying on the last video, fishing their spoot routes, if you like. I'd catch over here, which was incidentally about 150-160 yards out, and because I was in the bottom basin, and there was nobody fishing over in the bottom corner, so basically I was fishing over into peg 2, and then as the fish had moved back across, I was picking them up on the other rod, and pretty much every time I had a bite, I ended up with 2 fish, basically one off one rod, one off the other, and it's for the last day, it was or the day before the last day, it worked out absolutely fantastic. The only problem with it though, it never stopped raining all the time we were there, hence I'm sat here doing your talky bit now instead of when we were in France, because the weather was absolutely dreadful. It didn't stop raining and the cameras were steaming up, and it was a right nightmare. But ended up with some lovely fish at the end. Yeah, boy. Right then, how's that? Early morning wake up call, this one. Just got Nick coming round to take a few pictures of the one I've got sat here, sulking in the retainer. And while waiting for the rain to stop, this one's rattled off and we're out getting wet. Beautiful fish, worth getting wet for though. Look at that. Beautiful. Right then, chucking it down with rain. Here's the other one that Nick come to photo for me. Absolutely soaked, so I'm going to go and get a shower, I think. Try and warm up a bit. Another one on the meaty garlic. Absolutely brilliant. Oh god. This one's totally different shape to the other one. Bit of a torpedo on this, but all shapes and sizes, brilliant. Let's get you back. Right then, I've just been for a shower. Come back, got the rods out, got a couple of cream cakes as you do in France, and just had this one rattle off. £31 very welcome. It's been a tough week this week, but it seems like last full day before we go home, getting a few bites. Couldn't be better. We're over in France, John Tree, and catching fish like this. Beautiful. Look at that. Right, let's get her back. had a double take. I've got a £30 15oz here and a beautiful common in the retainer. I had literally one take after the other. I was just about to put the one rod back out and this one rattled off, but the other one's £42, so almost 42.2. I'll show you this one first and I'll get it back. Just been doing some pictures and I'm knackered. There you go. How's that? These ones are like peas in a pod. But I'd say this common's a bit special, to be fair. But February, lovely night, lovely. Right, let's get you back in once you. Yeah, if they're a bit moody, just fold them back in your arms, they won't go anywhere. Look at that. Absolutely mint. Fought like a demon, plodded all the way in, and then just used its weight, head down, and give me a battle for mail. And that's what you want to do, just fold them back in your arms like that if they kick. You ain't got to throw them about. They're better off the mat, to be honest. Let them wriggle a bit. Calm down, pop them back up. There you go, £42 too. Stunning. Go on then, my beauty, let's get you back.
Yeah, boy.
Wise. I've been doing my old, just my standard little snowman blowback rig, talon tip hook, tiny bit of shrink tube on the end, half an inch of shrink tube. And basically what I'm doing, I'm closing off that gape a bit to make sure it hooks them in the lip. Get a really good hook hole, especially in France and that. And I've pretty much settled on this. I'm quite a simple chap with me. The way I fish, to be honest, you know, I generally fish where I see the fish, and I put rigs out there that I know I'm going to get the fish in, and I fish lines that I know I'm going to get the fish in. So I don't take any chances really, and I get a bite, and generally it's a net. And this sort of rig, you know, using rigs, what I was talking about before about balancing your gear out, that's a supple braid that is a bit of trickster. And lumping that out at what, 150 yards, a lot of people will be, oh no, it's going to tangle, it's going to tangle. A lot of it is how you cast. You know, I've fished with braids for years and years and years, and so if you cast in a certain way, like if you punch cast, like so you punch straight out, generally you will get a tangle doing that. When you cast distances, generally you lob cast and you cast up into the air, and it comes down, and it actually helps the rig stay away from your main line, and it literally guides it through the air, and it stops you getting tangles. You know, it really is as simple as that. If you like using braids but you're sick to death of getting tangles, have a think about how you actually cast out, and you probably find that, like, I could cast out now, and if I punch cast, I'd be guaranteed this would be wrapped around my lead. But if I lob cast, so it goes up in the air and comes down, and then you stop it just before it hits the water, drops back out, generally don't ever get any tangles. Another little thing I do with that, you've probably seen it before, to be honest, is just my little 3-bait. Just my little three bait stringer. It acts like a bit of a parachute. Just get yourself a bit of webby PVA. Tie it off. You know all that. I ain't gonna show you that. If I can find my scissors. Yeah, and basically what I do with that, I thread it up the hook length, but generally before I do, I squeeze it up and I'll just crack them baits into, so they're like rough half baits, if you like, and that's all I do with that. But I'm keeping that shape, so it's very much a little triangle. And I basically get myself a needle, pop it through the middle. So you pulled it through the middle like that, and then you pass the hook point in between two of the baits. And like for braids, that's a really nifty little trick. Like even when it sits half cocked like that, it flies through the air really nice. It catches the air and it keeps that rig away, and it acts a bit like it's actually giving it a bit, you know, like I said in the olden days, if you like, you want to add a little bit of weight to your hook length. It's not too bad because it's got a snowman. You know, it's got two baits, so it's got a little bit of weight there, but that tiny little bit of weight on your hook length. But generally, if I'm casting a long way, I'll do away with that bag. Up to probably 100 yards, I'll keep that bag on. But over 100 yards, it's that resistance is taking yards off my cast, if you like, when I'm sticking it a long way out. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. But it's been a great month, and been catching some absolutely lovely fish. I'm also going to see how this session pans out. Right then, I think we're getting towards the end of the session. I still might have another bite in me yet, but this one's 36.12, and it's just rattled off. What can I say? Today's been absolutely mental. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. Today's just made up for the rest of the week, full stop. I've probably had 80% of me fish this week today, and to get another common like this sort of thing, absolutely glorious. So I'll get it back. You never know, I might have another one by the morning, but if not to worry.